Alright, we're leaving.
Strange.
We're leaving.
No,
We're going
no.
home.
Nah. Nah. We have to get this. I don't even know how to get to the top of this tree. Don't do it.
Get wrecked.
No, this is not okay.
I did it. I'm not okay. That's a song by MCR.
Yeah, no, I was about to say we could
Alright,
that
so
MCR's back.
it's us. We're here. We're doing it.
You.
It's Woefully Underprepared, episode 8.
More prepared than usual, probably.
Dude,
Less prepared.
I'm so prepared this day. Today, I actually have notes on every single story we're doing. Not
Damn.
great notes, I won't lie, because some of them are just kind of like... meh? But I got them.
Not,
And that's
not
what's
good
important.
notes. The opposite of good notes is bad notes.
So as always, I'm here. I'm your host. My name is Sam. You will find my Twitter in the description, as well as
Same.
links to every single story we will talk about today. A cornucopia of
Sam.
links will be in.
And you can find my
Please
Twitter.
no. Let's not. Please no.
I'm Lachlan, and you cannot find my Twitter, 'cause I don't have one.
Go Twitter.
No, I don't like Twitter. I don't like how to. I don't like it.
I'm gonna put your phone number on my Twitter account and get people to call you and tell you got a Twitter.
Please.
But don't do that. Don't dox people. That's really not okay. I'm pretty sure it's against the law. And it's also just like super not okay.
It's just super. It's a super dick move.
So we're gonna start with
Yeah.
2 stories that I didn't mention last week. That I didn't mention because they sort of there's not a lot to them.
Overwatch 2 came
And
out.
one of them evolved like the video game. It wasn't a
Yeah,
story
well-
about the video game. So basically the only news that matters is MCR is back and MCR is coming to Australia. So
Yeah.
really, we'll just kill the stream, just end it there, because
Podcast
that's all that
over.
matters. We joking, but like low-key mega
Didn't sound like a
excited.
joke.
Nah, I was joking. Trust me. I've now lost
No
my
more
notes,
Woefully Underprepared
so
till the
give me a
21st of March.
second. I threw my notebook across the room, and now I don't know where my notes are. All right, sick.
shit.
I'm back.
Well,
We're doing
shit,
it.
We're fucked. This is it.
All
Oh,
right.
wait, you need to.
So,
Alright.
what?
Alright.
We're back. We're doing it. So last week.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm using
Alright.
shitty gun. Alright.
The story broke that Dan and David Benioff and B.B. Weiss, the co-creators of the Game of Thrones for HBO, were fired or quit Star Wars. They were going to make a new trilogy starting in 2022 with Lucasfilm and Disney. And I've read the story as they quit, and I've also read the story as they were fired.
I've heard the story
But
mostly
the
as they
quote
walked away.
from I forget
Because
where,
they got
but it will
the
be in
deal.
the description. Yeah, we're getting to that. So the quote from I forget where, but it will be in the description. As I said, I don't remember who initially broke the story, was they walked away from. So you
I
might
think it
find
was
yourself
watched
asking, who, sound right, I'll annotate the screen and it'll be in the description. So you might find yourself asking, who would walk away from Star Wars? Who would be that mad? And why
Dan
would
and
you
Dave.
walk away from Star Wars?
Dan and Dave.
Well, 'cause
for a
allegedly-
Netflix deal.
They are in the early stages of negotiating a deal with Netflix that is reported. There's no actual number, but is reportedly a 9-figure deal,
Yes.
which is
Um,
big money, no whammies. Or maybe many whammies, but when you got that much money, who cares about the whammies, to
Do
be
you have
honest.
any idea of what that show could be? Like, we've got stuff material.
I imagine it'll be I don't think it'll be one show. I think it'll probably be
Oh,
a
you think
series
it'll
of
be-
things, because that's usually how Netflix does stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I'm aware, they basically, they will, Marvel-style contract people out for, 8 films, and then just, shoot all 8 films back to back.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. Yeah, but it'll be interesting.
Like that's kind of the deal they have with Adam Sandler. That like they basically contracted them out for like 8 films, and they just shoot all of them all the time, basically at the same time. So yeah, a 9-figure deal. I've read somewhere, I don't remember where, that it was 250 million. Which is that's 9 figures, right?
Yep. That's a pretty good number. 250 million each is a really good number.
That's a lot of money. 250 million each.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine it's split between the two.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's for multiple shows with Netflix as opposed to just the one. I imagine it'll be.
But it's still like
sci-fi, fantasy related.
Star Wars is a big time.
Apparently, it was big. So.
Sorry.
Apparently, Star Wars is not 9-figure big.
No.
And Star Wars was not willing to go 9-figure big, even if it is 9-figure big.
I mean, it was trilogy, wasn't it? It was a trilogy with.
It was a trilogy starting in 2022. That's what I got written down.
Which is interesting that they didn't take it, because that's even if they got paid less, that's a really good. Just being in a Star Wars film, directing, screenplay, writing, whatever.
I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they want to stay away from bigger projects, given the end of Game of Thrones.
Especially Star Wars, because people will just probably if they ruined it, which is really easy to do with Star Wars, because everybody, if you do,
because everybody's real contentious about Star Wars.
It's a problem.
You know, you could be giving me these balls, right?
Yeah, well, it only takes like 2 balls to take out one of these guys. So.
Alright, that's fine, whatever. Yeah, so, like, the internet did kind of rejoice. They were like, these guys ruined Game of Thrones. Now they were gonna ruin Star Wars, and now they're not gonna ruin Star Wars. Yeah.
That is not a healing word.
No, that's not a healing word. I beg to differ. I think Dan and Dave are both very talented writers.
They're talented writers. They got 8 seasons of Game of Thrones going, and everyone basically liked all of them. So, you know.
I mean, bar like the last 2 seasons. But I think they sort of. I mean, I think they just sort of got like franchise fatigue, and they got like. I imagine it occurred to them at some point within the writing of the last 2 seasons that they were sort of potentially having conversations with themselves and George R. R. Martin, and they were like, we could potentially be doing this for the rest of our life, and we don't want to do that. We want to do other things.
Which is absolutely fair. So finishing it there is.
And as I say, they like.
It wasn't a bad
whole bunch of people. I forget the official number, but a whole bunch of people still watched the finale. And if you're a network, especially if you're a Netflix-style network, all you really care about is viewing numbers. If it's garbage, who cares? As long as people are watching it. Like, as I say, they contract out Adam Sandler. He's not made a good film in 100 years.
Yes, but he makes a lot of films that people watch.
But people watch them.
Yeah.
So they just keep giving him money.
Which is problematic. You know, it's fine.
Yeah, so that was, that actually broke last week, but we didn't touch on it, because, I think there was just other things, or I forgot about it, and it just wasn't really on my radar until, more recently.
Less important. Anyway, next news? I feel like we're on to the next news.
Yeah, I feel like we are as well. Hang on, let me turn the page. Alright, Death Stranding.
Yeah, apparently it's a shit game, sometimes people like it.
Look, I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. Right? Did I not say that this game would get middling reviews at best? Because it's very, and like all the reviews are like, I absolutely knew this would happen.
Yep.
Because it's like, it's you know, it's an auteur kind of game.
Yeah.
Right?
It's one of those cinematic. it's a cinema. It's an interactive.
Like it takes its time. It tells the story. So IGN gave it a 6.8, which is very middling. And they called it okay.
Yeah, because its gameplay probably.
The official. Yeah, they say it's just sort of like it can't figure itself out. Like it has really good ideas and some really cool like high sci-fi concept, but there's no gameplay backbone to stick it to allow it to like flourish and like be great. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this. Like, I don't know how to pronounce the name of this outlet, but like. Stevetur, I'll annotate the screen with how it's spelled, and you can decide for yourself. Called it a courier sim, and basically bagged on the game, thought it was garbage. Because it is, like, literally just a courier sim. You go around delivering packages.
Yep, and it tells a story during that, but it's like, there are other games, like, that's the issue here, that also tells stories while also having quite engaging gameplay. So, like... me and Sam already knew that this would not be a
like as I say,
game.
it's a Kojima game. Like, it is the most Kojima-y of Kojima games.
Yeah. It probably
and maybe sometimes that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah? It is still getting loads of viewership though, like I think it's #1 on Twitch, or at least it was at the time writing.
Games like Last of Us had a lot of viewership, I'm pretty sure. And those, like, story games get a lot of viewership.
Usually when, like, a big AAA story game comes out, it does sort of... It pops up in the, like, top 10 of Twitch for a while, and then everyone beats it and moves back to the regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, like Fortnite. Which I feel like that's a good
exactly
segue,
like
right?
Fortnite. Dude, that is actually not a bad segue. But I have more I want to say about...
You have more about... Fuck, I should have saved it.
About Death Stranding.
God damn.
So GameSpot gave it a 9, Giant Bomb gave it a 2 out of 5. I think they have like a stars system, so they gave it 2 out of 5 stars. But that's 2 out of 5 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, which is 4 out of 10. It's 40 out of 100, which is 400
Are you?
out of 1,000.
Where are you? What happened to you? I'm still fighting guys back in the corridor.
Yeah, I'm not back there. I'm using a spider's word, so this is...
Time Magazine said they loved it. GameSpot said that it gave it a 9.0, and they said it requires a lot of patience and time, but it tells a story that is really important, or a story that we really need right now. I think is the exact quote.
Is it like a political thing, or I thought it was just an interesting...
It's
story.
about, so the story is about, like, very briefly, because I don't really understand myself. I've not played Death Stranding, and I don't intend to either. But it's about, so as Norman Reedus Sandbridges, you go around, like, reconnecting people, essentially, with, like, each other, because the world's sort of become disconnected after this they call the Death Stranding, where, like, the barriers between life and death broke down, and, like, society kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
So as Norman Reedus, you are tasked with sort of delivering artifacts from, like, pre-Death Stranding, I believe. This could all be very wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm almost on the money. To, like, settlements and stuff in order to, like, reconnect them with each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I get, and, like, that, I guess, like, that is an important story, and it's very critical of, like, the internet, so. Unlike the way the internet divides people.
Yeah. Which is fair. It's even more telling than how, like, different the people have.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's really interesting.
I think no one should be surprised that this game is getting reviews that are as polarized as this.
Because it's not a game.
Because it is very, like, it's an auteur game. It's very, like, you know, slow, and methodical, and thoughtful. Like, the game section of the game doesn't really start until, like,
a couple hours in.
Sort of 3 hours in, basically, which is like, yeah, but if you're telling a compelling story, then...
Yeah, I mean, story usually beats out in most games. Like, if you're telling...
And in regards to fan reaction, to this. The note that I have specifically down here is bitches are mad.
Yeah, so I imagine a lot of people are
That's
just...
the witch.
Yeah, like the
You're just mad
IGN
about
video review has like a pretty abysmal dislike ratio, which I mean, I think the Inside Gaming piece that I watched about it basically said that like bagging on IGN is an Olympic sport at this point. Like, it's just a dumb thing. But this is slightly more than normal. How much people just like bag on IGN. I think one person said on Twitter that like IGN are all like uneducated and they should go back to playing like Madden and NFL because this game's clearly like too high art for them, which is like, alright, sweet. Love people like that.
Bit rude. Bit rude, it's fine.
People like that suck, dude. They're like, you're not a good person. Like, get over yourself. You're probably not half as smart as you think you are, and that's the beauty about opinions. They only,
especially
like,
when it comes
the beauty
to
of reviews. They're only one person's opinion.
Yeah, have you seen the reviews for it on Steam?
No. Have you?
No, I'm looking them up.
Now that everyone's actually had a chance to play it, like the regular public has had a chance to play it, it's sitting at an 83 on Metacritic, which isn't bad, that's respectable. That's sort of, bottom of the top, essentially. And its user score is 6.2. So people might have been mad, and I think they accused the outlet whose name I still can't pronounce, that just like called it a car and gave it like a 2 and bagged on it for like 1,000 words. They were like, oh, you're just like writing a bad review of this game for clicks.
I mean,
which is like, alright. I mean, I don't doubt that happens.
Yeah, they're absolutely trying.
But also,
to
like,
get some...
you're not gonna play a game for 90 hours. You know.
And
I'm gonna die bad.
Yeah, so there's no...
I supered to not die.
Yet.
Oh no! I couldn't. Bye.
Yeah, there's no user reviews on Steam. I thought there would be.
Is it? It's on Steam, yeah. It's a Steamy boy.
Yeah, but it's
No,
not,
it's PlayStation exclusive. So it's not out on Steam yet. And I don't think it's planning to be for a while yet.
Oh, everything's fine. Yeah, it's not released on Steam.
Yeah, I think it does have a PC release date potentially, but not for a while.
Yeah.
I think that was a story a while ago I read somewhere that it was taken off the exclusivity list for PlayStation. Because it's gonna come out on PC at some point as well. And then I think just after release, Kojima Productions and Kojima Productions announced that like we're gonna start making movies, which is like, alright, sure. Kojima's a weird dude.
I mean, yeah, it's probably better than doing.
Which I think is incredibly evident within Death Stranding. That Kojima's a weird dude.
Look, if it goes for cheap.
There are dead babies in Death Stranding, and it's like a plot thread that the babies are dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of wacky things going on.
And it, like, to its credit, it is a very deep and like thoughtful courier sim. Like you do actually, like you have to think about like weight
when it
distribution and like if you
like...
need like, for example, an example I saw in one of the reviews was like if you need like if you think you're gonna need a ladder to get somewhere, right? No like mantle or parkour system. Then you need to pack room for that ladder, which means you can carry less stuff, which means stuff can get damaged more easily, you know, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So it is like, you know, there's thought and there's gameplay there, but it's just like it's a very like
engaging.
deep and thoughtful game as opposed to like a gamey game. If that makes sense.
Yes. A lot of probably repetitive tasks.
Alright, so we're gonna come back to that second story. I have notes on there, and we'll go to Ninja's dead. Ninja's career is over.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going well for Ninja, unfortunately.
The joke is that Ninja's career isn't over. Ninja still has millions of dollars, and will continue to have millions of dollars.
He has a lot of
Oh
money,
shit, I died.
but as it goes with like his viewership on Mixer, it's not going.
Yeah,
well
so
in
his
that regard.
viewership on Mixer hasn't exactly taken off. He has 5 million subs on Mixer as opposed to the sort of 14, 15 million he had at his peak on the Twitch.
Which is to be expected, really. Like,
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's going to be some level of attrition when you switch platforms, especially if. And I think this is the point that I will come back to. And he's sort of like, there were lots of headlines about it. I think that was maybe Microsoft's idea. Even if people didn't migrate, it sort of legitimized Mixer as a platform, which again I will get into because there are some statistics to prove that. So, Mixer's viewership in Q1, I believe 2019, which is slightly before Mixer and the platform, was about 100 million hours. And post that, it is now 90 million hours. So it's actually gone down since Mixer joined the platform. And he also kind of pioneered a bunch of people to start leaving Twitch. Oh man, I like Catalyst.
Shroud and Italian.
Shroud left. Michael Graginski is Shroud's real name.
Yeah, that doesn't matter though.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. King Gathalion, Corey Michael, or
He's a Destiny streamer.
Corey King Gathalion Michael left, who's a Destiny streamer, and I will get back to him because I think that's a, for what Mixer is trying to do, I think that's the appropriate kind of acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
They have about triple the amount of hours of content created, 11.3 million in Q1 as opposed to 30 million in Q2.
Yeah, which is interesting.
So there are more creators on the platform, but less people watching it, and Twitch still holds the overwhelming market majority when it comes to video game streaming, with a 65.6% market dominance, and that's up by 4%.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a lot of work to move people from one platform to another. That's kind of the problem.
I'm getting to that. I have a theory. I have thoughts.
Oh man.
So the kind of the idea was that Microsoft's strategy was to just create enough buzz, and people will, like, if Mixer gets in enough headlines, they'll be like, what's this Mixer thing? I should go watch it. Which hasn't really happened. And as you would expect, there have been no official numbers regarding how much Ninja is getting paid to be on the platform. But rumors speculate that it's somewhere between 6 and 8 million a year for 3 years. Which is...
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money. That's what, like, $24
Imagine that's almost
million
as much as, like, PewDiePie gets paid. He probably gets paid more, honestly, but 8 million for 3 years.
It is notable though that he loses out on a lot of ad revenue because he doesn't have as big a following anymore.
Yeah, but like,
so he's not as part of the conversation. But it's still like
a lot of followers.
Streamers decline in popularity anyway, and Ninja probably wasn't going to be the top dog forever. No, he probably still had a long run of the top dog in him, but I imagine he wouldn't. Oh man, this is great. This is. We didn't just do this, did we?
We're doing Corrupted again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of his followers, at least, are dead followers, so that they don't really exist anymore. I think I'm following Ninja, and I don't know why.
I'm subscribed to Mixer, and I don't watch any of his content because I don't care about Fortnite.
Yeah, like I don't know why
I think in regards of a career move for Ninja, I think it was the right move. As I say, you're not going to be on top forever.
Yeah,
and I think if he wants to wait out this deal until Microsoft stops paying him and then just retire,
yeah, which
that may well be a good move. Like he's not as prominent in the esports scene as he used to be. I don't even think he went to the I don't even think he got into the last Fortnite grand final.
Yeah, I don't.
And he's like, I forget how old he is, but he's definitely at the top end for. I think he's like 27, 24-ish. But he's definitely at the top end for like esports people. Usually esports people retire in their like 20s because you just don't, your reactions just aren't that fast. And as stupid as it sounds, esports is very damaging to the body.
Yeah, it's you get your carpal tunnel, you get your eyes.
Yeah, you get your carpal
destroyed.
tunnel, like arthritis in both things. Like I know old mate Alfredo Diaz, who used to be, I think he did Halo for a while, and then he played Destiny, and then he was a Siege esports boy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think he just turned 30, and he already has arthritis in both his hands.
Yeah, which is insane. But they have to
Which is
play
like,
games for
that ain't it, cheap. So, like, it would surprise me if Ninja was never going to win another tournament ever. And if you're not winning, especially in regards to Battle Royale, there's no one really cares.
But
no one
he is
wants to
still
watch
top dog.
you not win, essentially.
He's still probably one of the most viewed. Who's the most viewed streamer on Twitch now? Do we have a winner? Do we have
I don't actually know.
Don't
I think if Shroud was coming up close, but he's gone. Dr. Disrespect is up there, and he got mega salt about people leaving Twitch, and he was like, "You're all fucking stupid."
Well, I mean,
which look, maybe that comment has some weight to it now.
At the end of your career,
regarding one Corey Michael, and why I think Corey Michael was a brilliant acquisition.
Yeah, so that's King Thalion in layman's terms, right?
Yeah. So Ninja's YouTube is also taking a massive hit. He basically gets over 1 million views a video, and he used to pretty easily break 1 million, if not 2, every video. And now he sort of sits in the high mid 100,000s.
Sad times.
So, on to my thoughts as to why Corey Michael is a far better acquisition than Ninja. Because the King of Thalion, sort of building community is what he does. Like, I think he probably has a more loyal following than Ninja.
Yeah, he
and as I say,
Professor
building
Broman
community is what
T-Rex
he does.
Charities, right?
Yeah, and like him and Professor Broman are like they basically created the Destiny community.
Yeah.
Like then, and they made that directly on Twitch, at least. On Twitch at least.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to build a community, which is probably what Microsoft wants to do, King of Thalion is the person to acquire.
Yeah. He's a very family-friendly channel as well.
I mean, he's not family-friendly. He just he puts community building above all else. I would argue, and he's really good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's great at what he does, which is as compared to Ninja, who was just sort of like top dog, didn't really have much say. He's your
like
headliner.
there was no
Thalion
sort of warmth. There was no sort of in that the Fortnite community, as far as I'm aware. Whereas Destiny is absolutely it is a community of people,
it is an actual
as opposed to just like they do charity events, they have GuardianCon, all of this exists.
Yeah, GuardianCon was made by
a lot of that is because of Goth or Corey Michael.
Yeah, same person.
So I think if you want to build community, especially if you want to build community with Destiny, which I think is probably the way to do it, he's a really good choice. And I can see why he chose to be acquired by Mixer, because he wants to build new communities. I feel like, he just broke, before he left, he broke 1 million followers on
Twitch,
and was like, man, I'm sure media into the mic is great sound quality.
Yeah, I just had a Chomsky as well. Let's see. Is he? Has he
And
moved over to
I'm
Mixer
sure
yet?
that's. Yeah, he's there. He streams on. I'm subscribed to him on Mixer 'cause it was free.
Oh, he's offline.
So I think he's a way better person to build community and like build a loyal base of followers for something.
Yeah, and he already has 118,000 followers. 987.
Yeah, I mean 118,000 compared to a million is chump change, but it's still like I imagine that will grow, and I imagine a lot higher of a percentage of people will follow him
And watch him.
to the platform he goes to against Ninja.
Yeah. I just subscribed. Get subscribed.
Oh,
to.
dude, nice. So the next story is about Blizzard and BlizzCon and the statements they made about like
Being
stuff.
China's.
So literally,
the China
to
one?
give you an insight on the level of journalism that goes on behind the scenes here, my title for this is literally Blizzard suck, and then underneath that, the sort of notes that I've taken, a lot of balls, because that's basically a lot of what old mate Jalen Brack said. It was sort of a lot of very PR, very sort of press release kind of, we did the wrong thing and we won't do it again.
Yeah, it's standard apology sort of stuff. But with no action.
And I mean, to Blizzard's respect, they did. I think they halved the guy's ban, who was banned for a year, now he's banned for 6 months, and they gave him back his money as well.
He shouldn't have been banned in the first place, right? That was the.
I mean, it is against their policy to engage in any kind of non-game related speech, but it was like a very hard knee-jerk reaction that they didn't walk back.
Yeah, they should have.
And
sorted that out way faster than they did.
I mean, that's basically what they said. That we moved too quick and we didn't engage with our community enough.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have.
Like, it was a lot of. They in an interview he did with I think PC Gamer post BlizzCon, he talked about how we didn't ban Chunk Guai, I believe was his name. What is his name? Because he talked about China, we banned him because he talked about politics, which is against our policy. Which it is, but their policy is also intentionally broad.
Yes. Which is, I mean, it's fine, I guess. Like, you don't want to bring politics into this sort of thing.
I mean, you don't, and it is like, I think the headline that Inside Gaming ran was Blizzard continues to like end the Chinese pandering, which I don't think is really the case. Like, I think that's a bit clickbaity to me.
But it didn't sound right. It just sounded like they kind of just admitted that they were wrong. They haven't really done much about it aside from like giving back his money. But yeah, they haven't really proven that they aren't pandering to the Chinese.
This is true. This is absolutely.
But they also
true.
haven't proven that they don't really have to. They just have to prove that guy was speaking out against their policies.
Which he was.
Yeah. So I guess it makes sense. It's still a
and
problem.
yeah, again, so in the same interview with PC Gamer, Jalen Brack, the head of Blizzard, went on to say that like if we didn't sort of bring the ban hammer down and swing the sword every now and then in regards to stuff like this, like interviews would get so easily out of hand that they wouldn't be about. Like, there would be so much talk in the context of the game that is not about the game. Which is probably true.
And honestly,
and then in regards to sort of people's reaction, because basically since it came out, there were people who were like, there was a guy in the Diablo 4 Q&A who just like repeated Lichten's statement about like a free Hong Kong revolution of our time, yada yada yada. and there was a crowd of protesters that was about 40 or 50 people. And basically, unless you were looking for it, you didn't really know what it was there.
Yeah, so it wasn't too big of a thing.
So basically, no one cared. Which is unfortunate, but also like...
It may have had nothing to do with China, rather than, like... I mean, it had something to do with China, of course, because it's a free Hong Kong sort of thing. But their decisions might have had nothing to do with China.
I highly doubt they didn't, but... I think they've...
The evidence they provided otherwise...
Well
yeah, they've given a good...
To correct their cock-up?
Yeah, given a good reason. And we can't really say because we don't actually...
Yeah, and like even sort of... You know, they announced a whole bunch of stuff at BlizzCon, they announced Overwatch 2,
Yes.
which it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but apparently it's going to be a more PvE-focused game.
Yeah,
But it will
story
still have the
campaign.
full roster of heroes, and it will share a multiplayer environment with the current Diablo. Oh, not Diablo, but Overwatch.
Now that makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah, I might actually get the new one.
Like I guess it's sense to slap a big 2 on something and
then people will
sell a
like,
$60
they might
box
actually
product.
get it. Because the other one was getting stale, and it's basically just filled with old players now. And if you put a 2 on it, more people will buy it. It's filled with newbies.
I think that's the idea. Chuck a 2 on it, reinvigorate the player base, and you can sell a $60 box product as well.
Yeah. Easy.
And potentially make a ton of cash. Because Overwatch is still, like, at its core, fundamentally, it's a good game.
Oh yeah, it's still a great game.
It's just kind of like, because it's so PvP focused, it's kind of, it's beholden to different metas, and I think a lot of the people that play it have a very sort of love-hate relationship with old mate Overwatch.
Yeah, it's basically either they just need it to work. It's still a good
And
game.
I assume all the heroes that are in Overwatch 2 will be in Overwatch, which sort of does beg the question of how do you make a sequel to a... I mean, they're going to share a multiplayer environment.
Yeah, they might just share a certain multiplayer environment, like their control payload sort of game modes.
Which,
maybe
to me, it sort of begs the question of how do you make a sequel to a live service game?
Yeah.
Like, that isn't, like, why isn't Overwatch 2 just an expansion that comes with loads of PvE content and a couple of new heroes that you have to buy? But I mean, that's kind of like, that's what Activision likes to do. They like sequels, they like $60 box products.
Yeah, friggin' like the World of Warcraft sequels sort of products get them all the money.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
that's honestly why, like, I strongly believe that if Bungie hadn't been partnered with Activision at the time, Destiny 2 would not exist. They just would have put out, like, a Red War expansion for Destiny 1.
Oh, yeah, that's...
And that's why I have a hard time believing in a Destiny 3, because I think in the age of live service games, you don't necessarily need a sequel anymore. But Activision is still, because Activision Blizzard is a big company with lots of investors, and investors like, you know, they like things that they can understand, and they can understand like a sequel. Like, you just put a 2 on the end of it and you charge everyone again.
But like, it also...
Because that's, you know, it's easy.
Yeah, the problem is that maybe there's an engine like, once the new consoles come out, then...
Yeah, like, Destiny-wise, I think a brand new engine might be the ticket. And that's not to say you couldn't just port Destiny 2 to a new engine, but I feel like it would be a lot more difficult than just making a new game.
Yeah. And when it comes to Overwatch, they're not building a new engine because it's backwards compatible. It's forwards compatible as well. So I don't know what their plan is. I don't know why it isn't just an expansion. But there is a Diablo.
As I say, it's kind of a weird value proposition.
But yeah, I think it's just a $60
to me, it
box.
screams very like Activision like their $60 box products because they have a bunch of old white dudes that invested money in them, and A $60 box
They
product
usually
is
work.
something that's really easy to understand.
Yeah, like go Call of Duty, and then you see every single year you basically have guaranteed money. So you know.
Yeah, so they showed off a like pre-render Blizzard style trailer for Diablo 4, which looks pretty dope, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, well it's been a while, so you know.
I've never played a Diablo game.
I think the
But
last
this
time
looks
was
pretty
something
dope.
like it, Diablo 3. But
You didn't just lie to everyone
I haven't
like a scoundrel.
I did like
So Diablo 4 wise, there's no offline mode for anyone who gives a shit about that. Although you will be able to play solo, and then it will be like a solo experience or like a match-made experience. It will be a private experience, so you can like match with your friends and stuff.
Cool, yo. Yeah, I don't know much. I didn't listen to BlizzCon that much because after last year's, I probably should have. But you know.
Dude,
At least
Diablo
it doesn't
Immortal,
sound
everyone
like,
loves it. Yeah.
it didn't sound like
I think they did pretty alright. I think it, like, sure, like all their announcements had leaked and everyone knew what they were announcing, but they were still good announcements.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't think they gave a release date for Old Mate Diablo 4. But they showed off a pretty sick trailer. No, please don't leave me behind. Xiao Ming, VK Lion Lee. I think that's how you pronounce that name. Again, I'll put it on screen. That's what I have written down. Although I could be very wrong about the pronunciation of that. VK Lion, let's go with that. Became the first woman to win a GM tournament for Hearthstone and BlizzCon tournament. And she walked away with $200,000 in money, in the cash money.
Ain't nothing funny.
And the US Overwatch team won the like BlizzCon Cup first time ever. Basically, no one other than Korea had ever won it before, and they beat Korea and won.
That's pretty.
Which
sweet.
is like for people for the esports boys out there or girls.
That's pretty insane.
There you go.
Because Korea is.
America's still #1 at something, dude. And they announced a new WoW Shadowlands. Which again, like the pre-release trailer for 4 looks pretty dope. I'm not gonna play it because I don't have $1 billion to throw at WoW.
Yeah, that's literally the only reason we don't play WoW. Otherwise, we'd be playing WoW every day.
It's true. I mean, we play Destiny every day, and that game is free. We'll do that last. How long have we been going for? Like 50 minutes? 40 minutes?
I don't know.
God, you're a bloody cornucopia in on it, you are. I'm gonna say we're going for about 40 minutes. So the Fortnite cheetah. This is the only story I actually have notes on, because I didn't actually read. I just saw a bunch of headlines about it, and decided to add it to the schedule. So, you did read it, and you have thoughts.
I read a bit about it.
Educate me.
Shit, I hope you know a little bit more about it. Now I
Oh my
forgot
god, dude.
everything about it. There's
Oh
a dude.
my god, dude! Holy shit!
There's a dude. He be cheating. He's a
How did
YouTuber.
you cheat?
He cheated on Fortnite with a aimbot, if I'm not mistaken.
Here she comes.
Yeah, this seems familiar.
And
then he was given a lifetime ban, correct?
lifetime ban. Yeah, that was basically it. Ninja came and said that this guy relies on Fortnite for his income, so he shouldn't be banned.
So maybe he shouldn't have cheated.
Yeah, but like the thing is, maybe he should have thought about that, you know, before he broadcasts cheating as a way to play the game. And he can't, like, every single time he switches accounts, he did the cheating on a separate account, even though he said he knew he'd be banned. So like I don't.
That is a gamer move. That is, dude.
Yeah, and so now they just ban him every single time he comes online. He can still play Fortnite. He just has to play it on a different account. And but he can't play Fortnite online because otherwise Epic will just find what his gamer tag is. Ban it forever. And it's kind of like a thing to just stop his viewers from cheating as well. That's kind of the issue there, because he is a dude, right? He's a dude. He's a dude, and
He's a gamer.
He's not.
He's
a gamer.
in the game.
He's the opposite of a gamer. These are bad memes. But yeah, he was not. That's kind of what happens when you have.
I'm gonna blow
something
myself
like
up.
that. People will kind of copy you, and if Epic had that kind of issue on their end, I mean, he's the one to blame. So it just kind of made sense to ban him outright. Just show him what for, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta swing that hammer sometimes.
Yeah, like
and I think like if someone's gonna be so like if someone's gonna broadcast the fact that they're cheating to the world, I think they deserve it. Like I think you ban them till the cows come home, dude.
I mean, I know he was doing it with the intention of just being like, yeah, this is something that this is just content that I can make, right?
Find other content would be my suggestion.
That's a shitty way to do content, basically.
And like again, to Ninja's words, like, but Fortnite is his livelihood. You've just taken away his livelihood. So,
well, it works like that in the real world too.
Maybe have the slightest bit of thought.
Yeah, like if you did something like that in a company, not cheating in Fortnite.
And you got fired, you'd be well within your rights to get fired.
Yeah. The company would be well within their rights to fire you. And
like this is gonna get political for a bit. The lady who got fired from the Australian Public Service she made a Twitter account under a pseudonym, under like a fake name, and tweeted a whole bunch of like anti-government stuff, like that's anti the current government. And then she got fired, and she took the case to the High Court. But it says in like the charter or whatever for the public service that like they exist to serve the government of the day, essentially, and they don't have any political opinions, right? Like that's the point, that they just do as they're told.
Exactly.
So she was fired, and even though she took it all the way to the High Court, it stuck that she was fired because she broke the rules, so she got fired.
Yeah, it's just kind of what happened.
And I have a lot of mates that work in the public service because unfortunately I live in Canberra, so like probably 6 out of 10 people here work for the public service.
Yeah, if you don't work with.
And they were all pretty salty about it, but it's also the fact that like they're basically not allowed to have a political opinion. It's like you are allowed to have a political opinion, exercise it in your right to vote. Maybe don't yell about it on Twitter when your job is to serve the government.
It's just kind of it's a problematic. And it doesn't really have as much of a weight on this sort of issue with
But again, it's the same thing. Like I'm drawing an analogy here that like actions have consequences. He broke the rules. He lost his livelihood because he broke the rules.
Yeah, and I absolutely think it's fair. I don't think Epic is I think Epic is within their rights to ban him forever. And he deserves it. Yeah. Honestly.
Find somewhere else to make content, or make better content to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, he just didn't. He could have just not done that.
That's pretty cut and dry.
Welcome to Operation Stormcoat Guardian.
Pretty
so we're at about 50 minutes, I reckon. Maybe slightly less than. Do the EA and Activision maybe kind of low-key not breaking the law? Okay, sorry, but it's not very interesting.
Yeah, it's basically they did something. What was it? They said that they were going to buy.
So they did a massive share buyback. Like they did, according to Activision, did $100 billion buyback of shares.
Yeah, well, they were going to, but they didn't.
No, they did. They did it.
I thought they didn't buy anything.
One of my teams reported taken
No, they did.
infecting the
But
water supply.
just infecting
the
But
water supply.
just and basically when you buy back shares, you do it so that you can't
If the
get
contamination spreads, people will die.
the idea is that you can't
get bought out
be
by
victim
other
to a
companies.
hostile takeover because you own all your shares.
Yeah.
But also because the basic rules of supply and demand, it jacks up the share price.
Yeah. Oh no.
So, the CEO of Activision, or the head of Activision, oh dear. Alright, I just have his name down as Bobby. I don't remember what his last name is. So, big rip, I'll put it on screen. So, Bobby Doodles. No. Definitely not Bobby
Let's
Fischer.
hope there aren't lasting
Why not?
effects. Take them out.
I don't know who Bobby Fischer is, but I'm pretty sure it's not Bobby Fischer.
Apparently he's a chess grandmaster.
Alright. Good for him, I guess.
I think he's dead. Yeah, he died.
Oh. Oh.
No. Not so
Rip
good.
Bobby Fischer then.
This is this is actually Woefully Underprepared episode negative 300 in 2008, where Bobby Fischer died.
When Bobby Fischer is still alive.
Yeah. Oh, sad times.
Alright, so getting back on topic,
Yeah.
as boring as this topic is, because it's basically just like,
Yeah, we just made a chess
Business people
grandmaster
not
joke
breaking
that was
the law.
totally more interesting.
oh man, yikes, rip the content.
Alright, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so he, they did $100 billion buyback shares. This was just after they laid off a whole bunch of people as well. And then old mate Bobby sold a whole bunch of his shares after they did that, and their share price went up, and he made $118 million. And
Pretty
then
sure a bunch
a
of
lot of the
companies
public,
did that too.
yeah, a lot of the public Activision execs did the same thing, and they made a total of about 400 million plus. Is
They
what I
made a
have
lot of
written
money.
down. And then
Absolutely.
the Robert Jackson, the SEC commissioner, which is like the American Commission for like business, was like, this ain't it, chief, essentially. Well, again, what I have down here is he reckons it's balls.
You're fighting symptoms. We have to have a
Basically, yeah, he said something like
Because that's like effectively a statement that like, you're artificially jacking up the cost of shares and then selling off at a high price.
yeah, but this is where
And it's for some reason totally legal.
This is where I read the story differently, because I thought that they didn't even buy back any shares at the end of that. They just said that they were going to, sold their shares, and then they didn't do anything. They didn't actually buy back any of their shares.
No, I'm pretty sure they did. Because they did do a massive share buyback last year after they fired all those people.
Yeah, I probably have to look it up again. So.
Because they did a share buyback to increase the cost of shares, and then they give bigger dividends to shareholders now as well. Because there are less shares. And EA did pretty much the same thing as well pretty recently. Where they like laid off a whole bunch of people, and then sold off a bunch of their shares after that.
But EA suck, man. So, EA are just...
That's debatable.
company.
Jury's out on that one.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult.
Look, I'm not
to
gonna
tell.
say they are any worse. They both leave a
They're
lot
both
to be desired.
Yeah, they're both aren't good. When it comes to AAA gaming companies, there's not many at
Ubisoft's
the
where
top
it's
of
at.
the
Ubisoft, Bungie, that's where it's at. Everyone else either do it.
Is Ubisoft, is Bungie a AAA? I don't think they count.
Well, they are now.
I guess because they're
Do they not make Destiny?
They do.
Do they not make and publish Destiny? Is Destiny not a AAA game? Is a little indie game?
It's a little indie game. Published
A
by
little indie game with
an independent developer,
With
right?
by little indie, the little studio that could, Bungie.
Yeah. A little studio that makes a couple $1 million a year.
Literally one of the biggest games on the planet.
The most as big as Fortnite. Fun fact.
That's not true.
fun
So,
facts.
alright,
This is fun. These are all fun facts.
that's a lie. Dude, during the raid, Dado beat Fortnite. He didn't beat the raid, he beat Fortnite. So,
Yeah.
that's what really
That's a
counts.
fun fact. I mean, that's a fun fiction.
No, that's a fact. That's the truth.
No, everything that isn't fact is a fun fiction. Everything that's a fun fiction is a fun fact.
Alright, so that's where my notes end. That's everything I gave you, everything I got personally.
Same, dude. I didn't write any notes, so that's all I have.
Yeah, 'cause you're a pleb. That's why I'm listed as the producer and you're not.
The producer?
I guess actually before I forget, a personal note from me is I will be using this channel a lot more over the mini break. I'm still working out what scheduling time works best because it's crazy. How is this? What? Who? Are you dead?
What? Who?
That
Where?
person's dead.
I'm Last Guardian standing, dude. Wait, go back.
No, I'm here. It's me.
I don't know how he's dead.
So probably on Twitter and in my about section on Mixer, I'll probably at some point post something of a schedule. But currently it's looking like I'll do like 3 hours Monday morning, probably at 9 a.m.-ish, starting at 9 a.m.-ish, and then 3 hours Monday night, starting at 6-ish. Yeah? And then Wednesday I'll probably do a lot in the morning, not so much at night, like probably 4 or 5 hours again, starting at like 9-ish, and then not so much at the night times.
This is all Australian Standard Time.
Yeah, this is all Australian Standard Time. If you live in America, Google it, dude.
If you live in America, it's probably 13 hours in the future.
Dude, I live.
Taken leader is down for the count.
So that'll be. I'll put something on. I'll put something in the description.
Impossible.
I'll put something on Twitter and I'll put something on Mixer as well regarding when I end the stream, and it'll be. As I said, I'm still kind of working it out, and it'll only be for the uni break as well, because once I go back to uni, it's very busy.
Both don't get taken on
So I
either.
guess that's all from
I'll consult to
the
revise
both of
this.
us.
In the
Yeah, it's all from me.
I'm your host.
I'm not
my-
starting to stream. I mean, that's all from me.
Alright. Yeah, so as always, I've been your host. My name is Sam, and you can find me on the Twitters. My Twitter will be in the description. And your co-host is
Your co-host is Lachlan.
my co-host, specifically. There's a meme there about co-hosts, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, it's the Billie Eilish one.
No, it's not Billy Eilish one.
Oh, there. I'm eating chocolate. But this is the end of the stream.
Dude,
so
love
I'm
that
gonna
audio
let you.
quality. Alright, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you
Is that all of
probably
it?
6 o'clock
How are
next
we
week.
already done?
Yeah, dude, we did it. We nailed it. Last week's was very long. Last week's was like an hour and a half.
Dude, I was ready to be an hour and a half.
This week's was less long because there weren't as many relevant and important stories, but I'm gonna kill the stream, and then I will probably come back and stream more, but just from an editing perspective, it is easier for me to kill this stream and start a new stream.